Okay, class. Pag-usapan natin yung second part ng special corporations. Ang pinaka natin dito emphasis ng lecture na ito is on the gross Philippine billings para sa mga international carriers. And then meron tayong konting discussion sa ROHQ at isang slide for the NRFCs, no? Okay. Gross Philippine billings. Ito medyo nakaka-relate ako because before when I was still in the audit, meron akong kliyente which is an international air carrier, si Japan Airlines. So pasok po sila dito. And yung kanilang income tax rate ay on the basis of the gross Philippine billings. Although that was prior to train law pa. Okay? When we are talking of international carriers, ayan, 2.5% lang po sila on their gross Philippine billings. Mamaya define po natin paano ito kinukompute. Okay? Instead na 25%, ito resident foreign corporation, ito class. Yung nauna, that is domestic, those are domestic corporations. Dito naman, resident foreign corporations, ito. Okay? 2.5% of the gross Philippine billings. Although, pwede pa yan, mababaan. Sir, may bababa pa sa 2.5%? Yes. They may avail of a lower tax rate or exemption provided the following is met, or on the basis of the following. There is a tax treaty available for such, or merong international agreement, or yung tinatawag natin na reciprocity, if you still can recall it, halimbawa, ang isang international carrier whose home country grants income tax exemption doon sa Philippine carriers, edi reciprocal, okay? Yung privileges, yung na-enjoy na benepisyo ng mga Philippine carriers, halimbawa, yung flag carrier natin ng airline is Philippine Airlines. So may na-enjoy siya na benefit, income tax exemption sa ibang country. Di i-reciprocate natin yung exemption na yon. So on the terms of reciprocity. Okay, they may be exempt from income tax. So, yun nga lang, there should be a tax treaty or an international agreement or merong reciprocity. Otherwise, stick tayo dito sa 2.5% on gross Philippine billings. Now, pag sinasabi nating international carriers, hindi lamang po yan mga eroplano ha. It can also be international sea carriers. Although in terms of passengers, more of ang ginagamit natin is mga eroplano. More of cargos, yung international shippings. Ayaw mo naman siguro na magtagal sa laot, di ba? Sumakay papuntang ibang bansa, mga international shipping instead ng eroplano na mabilis lang. Okay. Pag-usapan muna natin yung gross Philippine billings on international carriers. Now, class, pagpasensyahan nyo na po, medyo lengthy ito, lengthy texts, Maraming mga mahahaba yung discussion. Pero we'll try to focus on what's important. Okay, so yung gross Philippine billings or GPB natin, it refers to the amount of gross revenue derived from what? What specifically? Ito mga naka-underline. Carriage of persons. Pinaka-common, carriage of persons. Excess baggage. Di ba may bayad yung mga excess baggage? Cargo and mail. Okay, kasi di ba yung eroplano, hindi lang naman ito pang pasahero. Yung iba, for cargo siya, for meals. Originating from the Philippines, okay, nanggaling sa Pilipinas, in a continuous and uninterrupted flight, dire-diretso, irrespective of the place of sale or issue. Wala tayong pakialam kung saan mo yan nabenta, yung ticket. Halimbawa, bumili ako ng ticket sa Japan, pero ang ticket na binili ko ay from Philippines to Japan. So kahit sa Japan ko yun binili, basta mag-originate sa Pilipinas, tapos, ayan, continuous flight, from Japan to Tokyo, for example, from Manila to Tokyo, for example. Pasok yan sa gross Philippine billings. Okay? Kasi irrespective of the place of sale or issue and the place of payment. Kahit saan mo pa yung binayaran, basta pasok siya dito. mag-originate, manggaling sa Pilipinas. Continuous yung flight, no? So, isasama po natin siya. Either pampasahero, no, for carriage of person, mga baggages, cargos, meals. Okay? Yung gross revenue for passengers, no, whose tickets are sold in the Philippines shall be kung magkano yung actual amount. Pag dito mo yung binili sa Pilipinas, okay, ang payment naman yan, Philippine peso eh. Okay? So, actual amount na binayaran. Derived for the transportation services for a first class, business class, or economy class. Di ba? May iba't ibang klase tayong mga class sa aeroplano, no? Ako pag nag-aeroplano, lagi lang naman ako sa economy. Hindi ko na-try yung first class, business class, di ba? As the case may be, as reflected in the remittance area of the tax coupon, forming an integral part of the plane ticket. Okay? So, makikita naman yan. May mga documents, source documents natin dyan para ma-determine magkano for passengers, no? Na mga tickets na benta dito sa Pilipinas. For this purpose, yung gross Philippine billings, it will be determined by computing the monthly average net fare of all the tax coupons, okay, of plane tickets issued for the month per point of final destination, per class of passage, kasi meron tayong, yun nga, first class, business class, economy class, and per classification of passenger. Kasi, di ba, may bayad din yung child. Hindi lang ako familiar ngayon sa infant. Kakabook ko ng ticket last month, no? Pero for March pa. Ay sana hindi maapektuhan ng pandemic, no? Ng COVID, ng pagtaas ng kaso ng COVID, no? Yung anak ko kasi, buo rin yung bayad, pero tag siya as child. Pag infant, if I'm not mistaken, may discount, no? Hindi buo. Or hindi ko alam kung libre, pero parang hindi yata. Hindi na kasi ako masyado bumabiyahe, no? And multiplied by the corresponding total number of passengers flown for the month as declared in the flight manifest. O, di ba? Kada flight may manifest yan. If you are into Netflix, no? Kung familiar kayo doon sa sa movie, sa series na Manifest. Ayan, flight manifest. Okay, what else? The gross revenue for passengers naman, kung saan yung ticket ay binenta sa labas ng Pilipinas, outside the Philippines, the gross revenue for passengers for first class, business class, or economy class passage, as the case may be, it will be determined naman using the locally available net fares applicable to such flights, taking into consideration the seasonal fare rate established at the time of the flight, the class passage, the classification of passenger, the date of embarkation, and the place of final destination. Okay? Ano yung tinutukoy dito? Okay? So, gagamitin natin daw yung locally available net fares applicable sa flight na yon. Okay? Based on locally available net fares. Okay. Anyway, no, hindi naman ako magbibigay ng sobrang detalyado ng mga explanations dito. Ang importante sa atin is na-introduce ito sa inyo. So you don't have to worry detail by detail, Hindi naman natin ito kukumputan talaga ng sobrang detalyado. Yung mga non-revenue passengers, as well as refunded tickets, it shall not be included in the computation of the gross Philippine billings. Especially, refunded tickets, na refund. Hindi mo kailangan yan isama, na refund babalik mo yung na-refund yung ticket, ibabalik mo yung bayad. So, hindi dapat siya kasama sa computation. Yung mga tickets na revalidated, exchange or endorsed to another airline, lipat sa ibang airlines, from PAL to Cebu Pacific, for example, it will form part of the gross Philippine billings kung yung passenger boards a plane in a port or point in the Philippines. Okay? Flights which originates from the Philippines, but transshipment of passenger takes place at any port outside the Philippines on another line or on another airline. Only the aliquot portion of the cost of the ticket corresponding to the leg flown from the Philippines to the point of transshipment shall form part of the gross Philippine billings. Meron tayong example nito later para mas ma-appreciate po ninyo ito. Kasi di ba may mga connecting flights? Although kasi ako hindi ko naranasan pumunta ng ano malalayong ibang bansa na malayo. Hanggang ano lang ako, Hong Kong, Thailand. Isang diretsong flight lang yan. Pero yung iba na masyadong malayo, let's say from papuntang US, no? May mga connecting flights pa yan, di ba? So, meron tayong tinatawag na only the aliquot portion. May portion dyan na kinukonsider lamang natin in computing the gross Philippine billings. Pakita ko ito sa inyo as an example later on. Okay? How about international sea carriers naman? Ito, although kasama dito yung passenger, pero medyo less less common kasi it's more of cargo or mail. Kasi international shipment ito international sea carriers. Except mga cruise. Ayan. Mga international cruise ship, 'di ba? Ito, posible 'yan. No, kaya kasama dito yung for passenger, cargo or mail originating from the Philippines up to the final destination, regardless of the place of sale or payment of the passage or freight documents. Ayan. So, regardless pa rin sa place of sale, no? Basta from the Philippines to the point of destination. Okay? Yung mga originating from the Philippines daw, it shall include the following. Pagkahaba-haba, pero I will give this material naman to you if you are my students, no? But for those who are not my student, you can pause the video. You can check it. Okay? Actually available naman ito siguro sa mga ninyo on your actual professors, may mga materials naman sila. Okay? Where passengers, their excess baggage, cargo, and or mail originally commencing their flight or voyage from any PH port to any other port or point outside the Philippines. Yung port at saka point na bubulol na tayo, Chartered flights, okay? Paki-research, ano yung chartered flights? Or voyages of passengers, yung kanilang mga excess baggage, cargo, and or mail, originally commencing their flights or voyages from any foreign port and whose stay in the Philippines is for more than 48 hours prior to embarkation. Maliban na lang in cases where the flight of the airplane belonging to the same airline company or the voyage, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sige. Anyway, I'll leave this to you na lang as a reading material. Okay? In terms of emphasis, in terms of importance naman kasi, hindi naman ganoon. So, pakibasa na lang po nito para hindi na natin ito, hindi na tayo magtagal dyan. Okay? So, 4 po ito. Chartered flights or voyages, no? Yung pangatlo, chartered flights of passengers din, no? Then pang-4, where a passenger his excess baggage, blah blah blah. Okay? So, ayan ito naman, it's more of identifying originating from the Philippines. But for purposes of computation, isi-simplify lang naman natin ito. Okay. Kagaya nitong example natin. Although, if I'm not mistaken, ang example lamang natin dito ay international air carriers. Kasi ito yung mga common talaga, less frequent yung mga international sea carriers. We have Dubai Air, which is an international air carrier, provided us the following data for the current year. Ang gross receipts niya for the transport of passengers, 10 million. For the transport of cargos, 5 million. And operating expenses, 6 million. Ang tanong, magkano daw yung income tax due? Pause the video, balikan ninyo yung materials, replay, rewind pala, no? Then compute. Pag okay na kayo, play para ma-check natin kung tama ang sagot nyo because the answer should be 375,000. Gross receipts for the transport of passengers and even the transport of cargo. So 10 plus 5. Gross Philippine billings, wag po natin i-minus yung operating expenses. Kaya kung makikita din nyo dito, 15 million times 2.5% lang. Hindi binawas yung 6 million. Okay? Ang sabi, anong rationale? International carriers are subject to 2.5 maliban kung meron pang preferential tax rate na mas mababa or exempt sila under any tax treaty, international agreement, or reciprocity. Okay? Another illustration. Si Air Jordan. Diyan yung sapatos, Assuming that Air Jordan is an international air carrier, no? Ito yung mga information niya. Ito madami-dami. Kasi gusto natin bigyan ng emphasis yung aliquot portion. Meron siyang gross ticket sales in the Philippines for Manila to Macau flights, 10 million. Gross ticket sales in China, Manila to Beijing, 5 million. Gross ticket sales in China, pero Beijing to Manila naman, 5 million. Meron pa siyang gross ticket sales in Japan for a Tokyo to Manila flight, 3 million. And a gross ticket sales in the Philippines for Manila to Los Angeles flight, 8 million. Although, meron tayong dalawang dito, no? Important info. Passengers daw were transshipped in Tokyo to LA by another airline. So, ibig sabihin, from Manila to Tokyo, Tokyo to LA. So, dalawang no? Hindi siya continuous uninterrupted flight. Merong connecting flights. Estimated hours during the flight, Manila to Tokyo, 5 hours. Tokyo to LA, 15 hours. For a total of 20 hours. Okay? Ang sales nila for that Manila to LA flights, 8 million. And then expenses sa Philippines, 5 million. So ang tanong sa atin, magkano daw yung income tax due ni Air Jordan? Oh, this is an interesting example. Please compute this. So I urge you to pause the video and then compute based on how you understood it. And then okay lang naman kung magkamali kayo. Ang importante, nasubukan natin. Okay? Sige. So, played na. Okay? Resume na tayo. Assuming na na-compute na ninyo. Ito po yung ating solution. Your answer should be 425,000. Let us also double check kung tama po. Kung tama ito. Ang kukunin lang natin is yung mga nag-originate sa Manila. So, irrespective, no? Regardless, tama ba? Regardless kung saan natin ito nabenta, basta Manila ang point of this, point of origin. So yung gross ticket mga gross ticket sales in the Philippines, Manila to Macau, 10 million. Gross ticket sales in China. So see, ang benta mo ay from sa China, pero because the flight is from Manila to Beijing, isasama natin yan sa computation ng gross Philippine billings. So magkano na yan? 15 million. Eto, gross ticket sales in the Philippines, Manila to LA. Ito yung 8 million. Pero bakit 2 million lang yan? Kasi po, ito yung tinatawag natin na only the aliquot portion. Kung tama yung aking pagkakapronounce sa word na yon, na aliquot. Okay? Sabi kasi, Manila to Tokyo, 5 hours. Tokyo to, saan ito? Tokyo to LA, 15 hours. Ibang airline. So, hindi natin yan isasama. Only the portion from Manila to Tokyo ang isasama natin sa gross Philippine billings. So, 5 hours over 20 hours yung total length ng flight. So, 5 over 20 or 25%, 1/4. So, 1/4 ng 8 million, that is 2 million. So, 17 million in total, no? Multiply na natin ng 2.5%, kaya makukuha natin yung 425,000. Okay? Yan po yung babayaran na buwis ni Air Jordan. Okay? Sige. So, I hope nasundan po ninyo ito. Next, pag-usapan naman natin. So, tapos na tayo sa gross Philippine billings. Let's talk about ROHQs or the Regional Operating Headquarters. Ang mga ROHQ, ito po ay mga branch. Okay? May mga multinational corporations na may mga regional operating headquarters dito sa Pilipinas because they are engaged in any of the following qualifying services. General administration and planning, business planning, coordination, business development, sourcing, procurement of raw materials and components, corporate finance advisory services, marketing control and sales promotion, training and personnel management, logistics services, research and development services and project development, technical support and maintenance, and data processing and communication. So these are some of the qualifying services, no? So, established siya sa Pilipinas, pero of a multinational corporation. Ano? Ang mga ROHQ, ang kanilang tax rate ay 10% instead of the 25% RCIT. Okay? O, 10% lang. Now, eto nga lang, please take note. May effect kasi because of the create law. Meron kasi tayong expiration. Yung preferential tax rate kasi ng mga ROHQ hanggang December 31, 2021 lang. E bagong taon na ngayon. Ginagawa ko ito January na video lecture, January 2022. So paso na, no? Hindi na qualified. Ayan, nag-take effect na itong statement na ito that beginning January 1, 2022, ROHQ shall no longer be considered a special corporation. Subject na po ito sa RCIT. So balik na siya doon sa sasama na siya, magjo-join na siya doon sa RCIT computation. Hindi na siya 10%. So please take note ha, this is only applicable prior to January 1, 2022. Right, 2021 below or previous, and previously. Okay, for 2022 onwards, ayan, normal corporate income tax na siya. Now, meron tayong tinatawag na mga regional area headquarters. Regional or area headquarters, RHQ. Iba po ito sa ROHQ, ano? Ang mga ito ay exempt po. Okay? Hindi po yan subject sa income tax. Hindi po yan kagaya ng ROHQ that before subject to 10%, na sa ngayon, RCIT na. Ito po ay tax-exempt entity not subject to income tax. Ang RHQ, unlike ROHQ, ito po ay isang branch din na established in the Philippines by a multinational corporation. Which branch does not earn or derive income from the Philippines. Wala po itong kinikita. It only acts as a supervisory, communications, and coordinating center for its affiliates, subsidiaries, or branches in the Asia-Pacific region and other foreign markets. So dahil wala itong kinikitang income, tax exempt po itong mga to. Okay? By the way, itong mga RHQs, hindi daw po ito kasama sa definition ng corporation for income tax purposes. It is neither an ordinary nor a special corporation. Diba? If you recall, yung unang video lecture natin sa income tax for corporation, we can classify corporations into domestic resident foreign corporation or non-resident foreign corporation. O kaya naman, ordinary versus special. RHQ daw is neither ordinary nor special. So tax-exempt entity po ito, hindi po ito subject sa income tax. RHQ ha, hindi ROHQ. Okay? Last slide. Yung mga NRFC, please take note na lang of the following rates. Ang non-resident cinematographic film owner, lessor, or distributor, gross income niya ay 25%. No? Do-double check ko lang if tama. Baka mamaya nagkamali ako. Okay, wait lang ha. Double check ko lang. Yes, correct. 25%. Baka kasi 2.5, no? Not sure. Non-resident owner or lessor of vessels chartered by Philippine nationals, ang tax-based gross rental, lease or charter fees 4.5. Yung nauna, based on gross income, 25%. Ito based on gross rental. Ito naman, non-resident owner or lessor of aircraft, machineries, and other equipment, based on gross rentals, charters, other fees, 7.5% naman. Okay, so I just wanted to be familiar with the rates, no? These are NRFCs, mga non-resident foreign corporations. Okay? So, ayan po hanggang dito muna yung ating video lecture on special corporations. I hope you learned something, I know it's a challenge especially to memorize, but take small steps, one step at a time, especially if you're an accounting student, ma-appreciate mo din ito later on. Okay? So hanggang dito muna tayo. Maraming salamat and I'll see you around. Bye-bye.